PBL, Peace vs. Hate by Zittlaly and Gabriela.
Introduction. What comes to your mind when you think about who history will remember more? People who taught peace or people who taught hate? It is not asking who is evil, good, hurtful, or helpful. It is asking who would always be remembered. The first two people who came to mind for peace were Gandhi and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The first two people who we thought of first for teaching hate were Adolf Hitler and Osama bin Laden. You may be wondering, how do these people teach peace or hate? Well, you're going to have to stay tuned to find out.
Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi is remembered for teaching peace. Gandhi was an Indian nationalist leader and anti-war activist. Mahatma was an anti-war activist, that's what he fought for, fighting for what he thought was the right thing. On January 30th, 1948, he was assassinated by a firearm by Nathuram Godse. Gandhi is also remembered for fighting in the independence of India. Gandhi's personal education, friends, and religious beliefs played a big role in his opinions on violence because he was an anti-war activist, which means he opposed war in general. One of his famous quotes is, "Happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony." Gandhi. Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler is remembered for teaching hate. Hitler was a German dictator and the leader of the Nazi Party. Hitler was a hateful man who did so many things to innocent people, the Jews who he hated. Adolf was a chancellor and a Führer of Nazi Germany. At the same time, he held all power. World War II started when Germany attacked in Poland, and that led to all the world joining into war. Hitler caused war only because he hated the Jews, and that caused a lot of harm. On April 30th, 1945, Adolf Hitler committed suicide because he couldn't take it anymore. History remembers him as a cruel, hurtful man. One of the quotes is, "I do not see why man should not be just as cruel as nature." Adolf Hitler. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was born on January 15, 1929, which was the start of a new beginning. He was a pastor and a civil rights activist. He changed the world and is a role model. He made a nonviolent coordinating committee, which was a group that would do things that whites could do without harming anyone or fighting back. In August, he had a march by the Lincoln Memorial, and about 200,000 people followed his steps, and he gave his very famous speech, "I Have a Dream" speech. He did many more things, but most of all, he gave people a chance for a better life. He will always be remembered for his legacy. Sadly, his life ended on April 4th, 1968, when a man named James Earl Ray shot him on his balcony. Even though he died, he still changed the world and will never be forgotten. He is a role model for many people. He inspired many people to fight for their rights. He will never be forgotten and always be remembered. One of his quotes was, "I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear." Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Osama bin Laden. Osama bin Laden was a very horrible person. He was a terrorist and he killed many innocent people. He was the head leader and creator of terrorist groups such as Maktab al-Qidamah and Al-Qaeda. His first attack was in a hotel in Aden, Yemen, and that made some American troops stay there when they went for a peacemaking mission in Somalia. On September 11, 2001, nearly more than 5,600 people lost their lives due to the attack that happened, but most were injured due to his actions. On May 2nd, 2011, the U.S. Army caught him, but before they could arrest them, he shot himself in the head and chest. History will remember him as one of the biggest terrorists of time and causing a lot of harm to his people and the world. One of his quotes was, "We love death. The U.S. loves life. That is the difference between us two." Osama bin Laden. Conclusion. People have done many good things, but also many have done very horrible things in history. The main question is, who does history remember more? In our opinion, people who taught peace are remembered more because they have done things that change our world. They changed the world for good, not for bad, and helped millions of people with their examples. Their examples help the people that have no voice and speak up for their people's rights. History will always remember them as good, loyal, and admirable people. Next, we have our citations for Gandhi, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and Hitler, and Osama bin Laden. I hope you liked our presentation.